So here's the food for thought. This is optimistic, but I believe realistic. Change, my brothers and sisters, is coming. I don't know when, and I'm not sure how, but I see all the signs, okay? Our political reality is going to change in this country, and I believe for the better. The flashing red sign that I see is, America can do better than Biden versus Trump, okay? Plus, there's such a disconnect between people in the political establishment and the rest of America overall that literally you have the established powers that be in the media wondering, why don't Americans want Trump or Biden? Why you don't want two past prime men who don't seem to be in any way the best of their own party, let alone of our country? Is that really such a head scratcher? Or maybe you got too many people invested in the two-party game. So they don't want to see it because they don't want the game to end. Think about it. It's better if you're in a party to have just one opponent, right? And to be able to control the state of play, right? What's easier, making the case to people like you about how they can make your life better? Or a battle to the bottom of scaring you about what happens if you don't vote for them because the other side is even worse? But for the rest of us, the prospect of Trump versus Biden is proof that the two-party system has clearly failed us. And this idea that, oh, well, it's too hard, Chris, don't talk about changing the system. It's too hard. It's too big. I don't agree. It may be true about the Electoral College because you need a constitutional amendment. It may be true about term limits for Congress because you probably need a constitutional amendment. It's not true about the two-party system. Yes, everybody in power in our government is part of that system. But the parties are not part of the Constitution. They're not even creatures of law. They're just tradition. We are allowing our freedom of choice to be co-opted and controlled by a small group who works more for their advantage than yours. Just like President Washington warned in his farewell address. If you go down the road of parties, you're going to wind up with a small group of men favoring their own interests and those of their cabal over the country. Be a nation, that is all. And he was right. And as if you needed more proof that the parties are clinging to the absurd to fight for the ever-shrinking slice of fringe frenzies. Pizzagate. Democrats, pedophiles. Not enough. Defund the police. Not enough. Ignoring the southern border just to oppose the enthusiasm of the right to fix it. Not enough. Here's the latest. Absolutely ridiculous. A crowning achievement for crazy in our politics. Taylor Swift is some Manchurian, not candidate, but Manchurian planted endorser. That this has all been rigged to help Biden. Crazy sauce. Look at this mashup of madness.
This nonsense is now everywhere your angry grandpa goes.
I think if she's smart, she will just stay out of politics altogether. I don't know what the incentive is for her to do this.
Don't get involved. Don't get involved in politics. We don't want to see you there.
Taylor Swift has made a career off of writing songs about picking the wrong man, so I don't think we should take advice from her now.
Can she get the black vote too, or are you going to go get Beyonce to do that? I mean, how much are we going to divide the public?
This is a little bit what idolatry, I think, looks like, and you're not supposed to do that. In fact, if you look it up in the Bible, it's a sin.
I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know what they're playing at. It's completely divorced from reality. No one with a working brain can believe this energy that they're putting into this. She hasn't even endorsed anybody. Who cares who she endorses? Maybe she could get young people to register to vote. Some people have done some analysis of that. That's good. If celebrities want to get people involved in the process, good. We need more. We're lucky if we get to 60% in national elections. It's pathetic. But the Chiefs' wins have been rigged. As a Bills fan, I wish. They're going to win the Super Bowl for Biden so that she can come out on the field and endorse him? I mean, how stupid do they think you are? And yet the game is being played on social media. The righty fringe is trying to work up people open to conspiracies because of this ever-increasing lack of trust in our institutions. The irony is it's the same people, of course, feeding that lack of trust, reinforcing it with BS. And the media loves it too. Even the New York Times loved writing how the Trump MAGA nation is all over this. No, they're not. It's just the fringe. And they even, in their reporting, they name a handful of radical righties who are making money off clickbait like this, conspiracies and ridiculousness. And then they do the worst thing the media can do. They point to social media as the new proxy of Vox Populi, the voice of the people. This is one of the biggest mistakes, and I have made it too. But I got out of it earlier. Relying on what happens on social media as a reflection of what's real in this country is lazy and wrong. Social media is not reality. It's filled with rabid partisans. And how do we know? Because when you poll the country at large, the largest percentage of people in this country don't want part of either party. That's the plurality. Over 40% every time they ask. Here's the hope. People with platforms who aren't really political step up and call out crazy, like sports analyst Colin Cowherd did.
There's a lot of really weird, lonely, insecure men out there. The fact that a pop star, the world's biggest pop star, is dating a star tight end who had one of his greatest games ever, and a network puts them on the air briefly, that it bothers you, what does that say about your life?
It says that people are reaching in your head and telling you stuff so that they don't have to tell you what you should be listening for, which is what they'll do for you. Look, it's all over. Once you see this, I keep telling you, you'll see it everywhere. Why do they prosecute each other so much rather than working on anything for you? See the game. It's easier. One side says how wrong it is when the other side doesn't, and as soon as they have the power and the numbers, they do the same damn thing. They won't push the immigration bill from the Senate to the House, but every Republican can't wait to impeach the Homeland Security Secretary. If that's going to make a difference in your life, there's no chance of removing him. There's no votes in the Senate for it. It's just a political vote, and they know they're wasting time. They do it anyway. Why? See the game. And then they do something for you in this almost magical moment. Republicans and Democrats in the Senate decide to fix some of what is overrunning the systems on the southern border. Then all of a sudden, word that they're about to pass it to the House gets out, and the GOP gets pulled away without reasonable explanation. The Speaker of the House, who lives by the good book, won't even give you a good reason. Why? Advantage to one of their own. The irony should make you sick. So you're not going to fix a problem so your candidate for president can run on that problem is still existing at its worst, even though the reason he's telling people to vote for him is in large part to fix this problem. The logic is mind-numbing, but that's because it's not about logic. It's about advantage for them, not you. See the game. Demand that we change the game before it changes you, too. Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.